All right, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Thank you all for coming. We were told maybe 20 to 25, so this is awesome. All right. Thank you all for coming. You guys can sit down if you want.
Okay, maybe it's like church. I don't know if I should stand or sit.
If you haven't figured it out yet, this is actually our first public appearance, an event and whatnot. We've been together almost a year now, but
Where are you from?
We're actually from the Twin Cities, from the Twin Cities metro area. We actually live all around. Sean is Farmington, Mike is Albert Lee, and she used to be in West Concord. She just moved up to. She's actually staying with me for a while, and I live up by Rogers and Elk River. So we come from pretty much all around the state, but we're based out of the Twin Cities. I'm Mike O'Neill. I'm the director. I formed this team March 10th of 2014. I've been in the paranormal about 5 years now. I've been with two other teams. Both of them sadly have disbanded, and then I figured it was time I started my own. I had bought all the equipment. It's time to keep going out on my own. And so just to tell you a little bit about myself, and each person is going to tell you a little bit about themselves. I'm a transportation supervisor for Rouen Transportation. Anybody that knows anything about Des Moines knows like Rouen Center and whatnot. They were pretty big down there. I got into this. A lot of people do it because of personal experiences. They had them as a child and whatnot. I never had nothing. It was just a natural curiosity. And I got lucky enough to be able to go out with a team just to see what it was like, and I never looked back. It was, when you have a spirit box, and I don't know if anybody of you know what that is, when you hear your name come out of that, you're hooked. You're never not going to do anything else. So I will pass it on to my lead investigator, Sean. He'll tell you about himself.
All right, I'm Sean. I live in Farmington. My full-time job is I do security. I work for a hospital in St. Paul. I went to school for law enforcement. I got a bachelor's degree in police science, associate's degree in law enforcement, and an associate's degree in criminal justice. That's kind of one reason I kind of got into this stuff, just because for me, I am one of those people that I want proof, I want evidence. I look at ways to, you see all the shows, you see stuff. Well, for me, when I look at ways, okay, what could cause that? I like to debunk things. If I want evidence, I want to make sure it's good evidence. I've been with Mike, like he said, for a little over a year. I was with a group just before that. Just a little small group. I was in Broda. Not very active. That's one reason I got with Mike. For me, it's, also I like to help people. That's one reason I got into public safety. I'm also a part-time firefighter in my city that I live in. I like to help people, so if we have an opportunity to help people, that's one thing I like as well. So.
Ricky.
My name is Ricky. I'm the team's physical medium. I'm clairvoyant and clairaudient. I'm an at-home mom. I have two little babies. Love them, but to pieces. Generally, I'm in the food industry. I like working with people. I like making grumpy people smile with good food. But I'm thinking about getting out of it. Kids, I can't work 70 hours a week, so I'm about to start school again, doing something. I've had this my whole life. I've just been doing this, and there came a point when I wanted to be able to reach out to more people than just the ones that are coming into my life. I wanted to come to them. And so when I reached out and I found, his site was looking for some applicants, and I was like, that scares the crap out of me. Let's do it. So here I am. And my basic functions in the team is to, help affirm, not just affirm their findings, but their findings affirm what I sense as well. And I just care about the spirit's well-being, and if there's messages that need to, pass along to another person, I'm more than happy to do that. And if they've forgotten how to move on to the other side, then I'm happy to help with that too.
were you born with this and just stumbled onto knowing you had some special
It
abilities?
took me years to figure out that not everybody was like this. Actually,
Oh.
I was considerably older. I started to realize that a lot of people told me I was talking to myself, and I'm like, but I'm not. Like, or you know, and you know, I've had, you know, I have an imaginary friend as well. Or you know, when I was little, it turns out it was a family member of mine. But
I have a sister that's somewhat like this.
But yeah, that one's kind of that's a hard that one's a strange story with that one, but I won't go into that. It takes forever. But yeah, thank you. Nice to meet you all.
My name is Mike. I work in medical billing, so if you have a bill you dislike, it's probably my fault. I've been into the paranormal. I'm 37 now. I was 6 or 7 when I had my first experience. As many kids, especially when you grow up in a small town of 32 cousins, you have imaginary friends that aren't related to you. And I would go and I would talk to this person. His name was George. Long story short, it freaked my mom out. Bunch of psychiatric tests. Don't go out in the woods and talk to people, you crazy little boy. So we played it low key, and I never really bothered to ask her why until I was out of high school and she finally revealed the whole family story. Because this whole time I'm wondering, do I have a brain aneurysm, or, you know, was I delivered in a spacecraft, you know? And turns out that when I would come back, she asked me what George looked like, and I gave a very detailed description of what George looked like. Turns out it matched exactly my great-grandfather, George Hankins, who I never had met. He died years before I was born, died shortly after my father was born. So that was my first encounter. The area I grew up, which was in northern Wisconsin, was full of legends, native legends. We have a lot of colorful history. You combine lumberjacks with alcohol and you're going to get some stories. So at age 16, a bunch of my friends, we started out, I wouldn't call it exactly a group, but we tried looking into some of our local stories. When I started, all of this equipment that you see over there didn't exist. You had tape recorders. There was 2 books out at the time. 2. You were basically fishing line and some bells across the hallway, flour, and just hopefully you caught something. So in my lifetime, we've gone from that to this, which is amazing. I got out of it after I graduated high school because I went to college. After college, I met my wife, who is also sensitive, and we decided, well, let's start this up again. I went through 2 groups, and we investigated different types of sites and local legends, and both of my groups ended up, they didn't want to play anymore. So I got out of it for a long time after that, and I was laid off for a little bit. And a friend of mine, and I don't know how she found Mike, but Mike had a thing on Facebook looking for applicants for a paranormal group. And I'm like, well, if nothing else, this is going to be a good time, better than Walmart. So, so I went up to meet strangers at a restaurant in the cities, and I'm like, well, this can't go bad. I've seen horror movies that start out like this, but met Mike, figured out he was only half crazy, and decided I'd sign up with him. So, and that brings me to here.
So, just to give you a brief kind of history of the team and what we are about, Mike is actually from my last team. I brought him over. He was interested in coming with me when that group disbanded. How many people here have watched the shows? Any sort of paranormal show? Wow, people that didn't raise their hand, what are you doing here? There's a lot of them out there that are really, really good. Dead Files, for one. I really enjoy that show. Ghost Adventures, Ghost Hunters, hate them. Ghost Hunters is not bad, except they're very, very quick to dismiss. And I think they miss a lot of really good stuff it's a legitimate claim. They find some abstract way of trying to, to explain it, and they take that as that's got to be the answer. It may be, but chances are probably not. Ghost Adventures is about the absolute worst way to do an investigation. And I watched that show mostly to learn what not to do. I used to have respect for them during the first season or so because they got some really good evidence. And then they made it all Hollywood. I have actually had friends of mine that are in this field be asked by clients if they're going to be in and out in an hour with an investigation, because that's what they see on TV. Our investigations last, 5, 6 hours at least, and that's not even including setup time and takedown time. This is a very long, drawn-out process, and 99% of the time, you're sitting in the dark listening to silence. I have gone through entire investigations, not experienced one thing, not heard one thing, and then I'll have 20 EVPs. It's amazing the things you can't see and you can't hear. I wanted to start a team that did things a little differently, that was respectful, not only to the location, but the spirits that may be there. I wanted to help not only our client, but also any spirit that might be there. We've actually gotten really good results in learning to compromise. You'll see people that want to get rid of them, but we've found a way to just be like, you know what, leave them alone, they'll leave you alone, you can all coexist here, and that's been good for both people. And nobody has had a problem since. So it's been very, very good results, for the clients that we have done. And we've always brought them evidence, lots of evidence. I just did the reveal here, and we'll get to the our investigation here a couple of weeks ago in a second. I brought 16 EVPs to them. That was only the good ones, and I got them all. We're going to disband a little later. I kind of got the equipment there. I got all the EVPs set up. I can do 4 at a time. We can go through them. I got some other ones from past investigations that'll blow your mind. They'll make you feel chills. They're pretty sweet. I also have set up, and I've gotten permission, groups of 5 or whatnot. I have the SB11 and the SB7 here. A couple of my guys will take you up to the green room, and we'll do a short SB11 session. I can't guarantee you'll get anything, but at least you can kind of see what it's like for us.
See, some of you are pretty excited.
I got a couple cameras that are set up right now, recording, one in the green room, one on the stage, just to see, for you guys to see kind of what we would see during an investigation. I got no problem showing you how any of the equipment works. I pretty much got all the toys I could find. The only thing I'm missing is the FLIR. Got to have the thermal camera. So that's kind of just the background of the team. We do not charge. That is the other thing that I think differs us from a lot of the other teams. We are all volunteers. Even right now, we are here of our own accord. If you guys have a problem that you think we can help you with, we're more than happy to help, even if it's down here in Iowa. We do take donations, for travel expenses and whatnot, but it's never asked for or required. So, I think that's really good.
We do this on our own time. Like you've heard, we all have full-time jobs, and I do other volunteer stuff in the cities too.
Yeah.
We're all very busy, and we do this because we want to. It's all on our own time, so our own money too.
I never knew how hard it was to get a team together until I tried doing this. I've had investigators come and go simply because their personal lives, they just could not keep up with the demand of this. And that's perfectly fair. We parted on mutual terms, and maybe when their lives get less hectic, they can try again. I personally take this very seriously. There's a lot of safety concerns. Everybody knows you can be attacked. You see it on TV all the time, and it does happen. Thankfully, I've not had the pleasure of such a thing, but I know people who have. And in fact, my first team I was with disbanded because they got followed home and attacked. and they quit immediately. Even that same case, another investigator from another team tried to remote view to try to help, and she got attacked, and she quit. You know, it's a very, I don't want to say it's a dangerous field, but if you treat it the wrong way, it can be. I think that's what keeps us safe. We do not go in and yell and scream and curse anyone. You know, if they want to interact with us, great. If not, our loss. You know, they don't have to.
We're not there to
What
provoke.
happens if you're attacked? What does that mean?
It means that they can scratch you, they can influence you.
Really?
Oh yeah. They can make you feel sick, nauseous. Oh, they can pull your hair, trip you down the stairs, push you down. They can do whatever they
Push you off
want.
a couch.
You fell on your own accord. I got the video and I will show you all. No, and there's a lot of fun times. I mean, we have a lot of fun with each other, and I think that's really important. I think that comes across to any spirit we may be trying to talk to, that, you know, maybe we're not just arrogant fools and we're not just trying to be out for a thrill, because I think that's the worst that it can be. If you're out there for a thrill, bad things can happen.
Don't
If I want to thrill, I
bother.
can just go to work.
Yeah, he made it through that one, that experience. So, the investigation here, we were very, very lucky and honored to get here. Sean's wife's aunt knows Wendy, from what I understand, and she mentioned to Sean, you know, I got this friend that has this theater, and cards were exchanged, and I contacted Wendy and asked if it was all right if we came in. Once she got approval from the commission, here we were. That took place January 16th. The temperature was -19 that day. So it was very, very cold, but it also meant that all the furnaces were on and whatnot, and it really caused havoc with our audio. We use very sensitive recorders. They pick up everything. So we'll kind of go over our personal experiences and just kind of how we went about the investigation. And after that, you know, we'll disband. Whoever wants to hear the EVPs, absolutely. You know, whoever wants to go up and do an SB11 session first, you know, we'll leave that amongst yourselves. So what we did when we first got here, we set up. Yeah, sit down, guys.
You guys are extended.
It's sitting time.
Oh, you're just taking off your clothes. All right.
No, I took my coat off for the picture, so I fit in.
What picture? Yes, I was. I did see that, but you were all pointed that way, so I'm not going to be in any. I'm not going to be in any.
No wide angle lens.
Yes, you're going to need one. So what we did first is we set up the cameras, set up the equipment. We had one on the stage, one upstairs in the living quarters, one on the balcony, and one on the main level. Each recorder or each camera had its own recorder, you know, so we're able to hear what's going on as well as see, because our cameras don't have their own audio. Unfortunately, we did not get any visual evidence here, you know, but it was very, really dusty. I know you guys won't be able to see it, but there's scaffolding all in the theater. Like, I was told there was some scaffolding, we might not be able to get in, but the whole place is scaffolded. I mean, I think I had to squeeze in just to get up to the balcony.
That was fun to watch.
Yeah, it was the perfect time. If they wanted to give me a wedgie, they absolutely could.
It looked like Pooh. Remember that cartoon where he gets stuff going out?
You weren't even there, but thank you for the video. So, out of all of our recorders, they all got stuff, all of them, and yeah, every room we had a recorder in had some sort of Class A or weird sort of, you know, recording on it. For personal experience, Sean and I were up in the living quarters, and one of the claims here was that the costume director, which is what the living quarters is, and now their costume room, hears footsteps come up the stairs, and there's nobody there. I have never experienced footsteps before. Don't know why, but never have. We were in the middle of our session, in the middle of the room, and loud as can be. I've got it on audio.
We thought for sure something's going on.
Oh, yeah, you can hear us on that. Hello?
Because there was people in the lobby still, so we
Yeah.
just assumed somebody was coming up.
No. They went up like 6 stairs, shut off.
I ran right there, nothing.
Yeah. So that was really cool to experience, especially for me, especially that loud.
That was Ellen.
Costume person.
Oh, you're the costume person. We heard it.
I'm so glad.
But since I know that you're here, I would like you to listen to it to let me know if that's what you hear.
Did they also shut the door on you and you have to latch the door
did.
to shut it?
No.
Yeah, they've
We
done
tried
that
to get them to
for me, too.
open, try to involve, that was what we heard.
It was just amazing how loud it was. I mean, we were pretty much way on the other end almost, and we heard it.
Yeah.
I mean, I took off running, because it sounded like it was getting louder as it was coming up the stairs, and nothing.
Yeah, that was a great experience.
Yeah.
Like I said, I got on audio. I'll let everyone hear. We had the K2 in an EDI. I don't know if any of you know what an EDI is. It's a brand new piece of equipment. It's EMF, thermometer, and a geophone, all in one.
The geophone just measures the vibrations, like on the floor.
Can you repeat that?
The EDI.
EDI.
It's EDI. Eddie, I guess is the nickname for it. Shocker. It's thermometer, an EMF detector, and a geophone, all in one. And we had that, a K2 meter, and the recorder all on a basket. And we're asking questions, getting absolutely no response whatsoever. Then we asked the question, are you a former owner? And the K2 lit up. So, and then we asked follow-up questions, there was nothing. So either we didn't catch the the right question, but I like that one. We got a lot of those throughout the night, up there especially. We moved it to the other end, and
Didn't get anything.
yeah, the K2 went off a lot. But we had that, the one thing that we did discover up there was the EMF was going off constantly when we moved it. But then we found that in the wall right next to it, there has to be some electrical wire, because we put the thing up there and it just went off constantly.
Yeah, we tried to follow it, but because I think close to the floor it got it, and it wasn't.
Yeah, it was weird, whatever it was. But, it's a personal experience. We can't back it up or say anything of what it is. On the stage, Sean and I, again, we kept on hearing sounds. Sean jumped at one time because he was like, what the heck? Because he heard
I'm not
something.
jumpy. I swear, I'm not jumpy.
Yes, he is. I have proof. It's going to come back to that every
There's
time.
a reason why I'm jumpy, man.
So, I was taught, we were just finishing up, and I was kind of giving a small monologue about how we were going to be quiet for a minute, let him say whatever he wanted. I was pointing to the recorder that was to my left, and I looked over, looked back, looked over, and I came back the second time, and in the light of the EDI, it looked like half a silhouette, like the backside walking right towards it. Unfortunately, it was not caught on camera. So, again, personal experience, but really cool. Like you can see my reaction. I'm just like, oh my God. And he's like, what? I'm like, I'll tell you later.
I actually was watching, and I saw it on the screen, but for some reason it didn't come
Yeah, we
through
were back
on
again
the
last
recording.
night and tried to look together. And it's just not there. Temperature was huge for me. I've never experienced a temperature change before. Cold spots, that kind of. Everybody I've ever been with is like, oh my God, it's so cold. I'm like, can you? Feels normal. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. Here, it was cold. I mean, yes, but it wasn't up and down. So I was up in the living quarters or the costume shop. I had my back to the window, so that's obviously cold. In front of me, on the thermometer, it read 50 degrees, but I was perfectly fine. The thing was that when we got up there, it was in the mid-60s. We'd only been up there for about a half hour. So in a half hour, it dropped down almost 12 degrees, which is a huge change, even for windows. So when we came down here, we next went into the green room. It was, again, mid-60s. Within 20 minutes, it was down to 57. It's a huge, and I was freezing. I mean, I'm in 50-degree weather up there, and I'm perfectly fine. I was freezing in the green room. We went on the stage. Within 20-25 minutes, it had dropped 12 degrees. The heat's even turning on, and the temperature's still dropping.
When we entered, it was just regular, mid 60s. It was always at its normal temp when we went in there, but when we left, it was dropped dramatically.
Yeah, and it was crazy. It was the first investigation I've had where temperature has really stuck in my mind, because that's a huge drop for that small amount of time. Especially since almost the entire time we were here, it was in the negatives, but it didn't hew like 0 to -19 in 2 hours. It didn't do that. I think that's it for Sean and I.
Yeah, if you couldn't tell, me and Mike, we pretty much had they followed us all night.
Yeah, they followed us all night long. So we were the cool ones. We were the varsity team.
Anybody try to call you by name?
They always
Yes.
try to call him by name.
They always try to call me by
That's
name.
his.
That's my shtick.
My daughter worked here,
What is she?
but
She's
she,
working now, so she couldn't be here.
yeah, she wanted to come. The show was over, everybody had left, she locked the doors, went back up into the booth to get the film ready for the next night. And all of a sudden, Melanie! And she went, what? Nothing, and she went, okay. Melanie! Well, she thought it was her grandfather coming to check on her. So she started down, doors were still locked. She went, I don't think I want to be here. She turned all the lights off, tore home. Her granddad was in bed, sound asleep. She would not stay in this place alone after the movie was over.
And he was living on it. That's strange.
I wish I would have had something like that. We did have a disembodied voice happen. I do have it on audio. It was just a cough, though. But during the SB11 session on the stage, my name did come out of the SB11. It's pretty clear. I enjoy that. But after that, they didn't like me so much. And you'll get to hear that, too. And that's a story used for the evidence itself.
Our walkthrough.
Yeah, why don't you go ahead and talk about your walkthrough? Hey, now I can sit down.
Why don't you pop in where I forget stuff?
On mail, I forgot more than you.
Well, my walkthrough was, I had there are a couple of key points. Was in the entry part. I smelled rose perfume. None of the ladies were wearing rose perfume. I don't wear perfume. I'm allergic to it.
Mike wasn't, was it?
I question it, but no, he smelled like Old Spice.
We all have our fragrances.
And that's not, I mean, I keep that in mind, but it's not, something that I really, I keep smells in mind, but it's not like a solid thing for me. What I see and hear is more important to me. But later on in the night, when I was going outside for a break, I heard a woman talking, and I thought that the ladies were still in here, so I was like, hey, I'm about to go outside, so they didn't just hear a door slam shut. But nobody said, oh, okay, so I peek up there because nobody's there. And I was like, hey, Mike, guess what? So he checked it out, we checked it out. There was nobody in there at the time, in the theater except us. So I was like, okay, went about my business. There was a time when we were walking through, every time we walked through the main seating area, I would see somebody, a tall, thin male, probably younger, around my age or a little younger, walking through the aisles and in through the seats. And it seemed like every now and then he was looking for a seat to sit down in, but then would kind of notice us and then just leave. And that happened a couple of times.
And then too, while we're sitting in the theater, to go along with this, is out of the corner of my eye, while we're sitting on the stage facing back, so I've been on my right hand side, I saw like a shadow, like somebody had walked in front of a light and their shadow was bigger on the wall. And it was about the same time that she was seeing that kind of stuff going through there. So, and I'm not nearly as sensitive as her, but you know, so there's at least the two of us saw something similar in the same area. So that leads a little bit more credence.
Well, he and I were up in when we were doing the walkthrough up in the balcony, I'd seen like two little golden spots, which, when I see two little spots, it's normally about the eye width away. And I generally interpret anything that looks like two eyes is, it's the color that comes out is what they're feeling at that moment. And so gold, that's good. That's okay. That's if it's more yellow, it's hyper energy. If it's goldish, that's kind of like a male energy. I don't know how else to describe that one.
Sorry.
But then later, when it was me and Mike up there, I saw. I think that was about the time when we were first walking up in there. I saw like a face with the same yellowish colors, and it was see-through, but it was like right there, and I'm like, hey, how you doing? And then as we were leaving, I kind of felt somebody getting really close, and I was just like, no, don't follow me. You're not allowed. And then the other significant thing, I think, was when we were in the green room. I was sitting on the chair next to the two stairs, and he was sitting next to me. And we did hear, some tapping on the mirrors and whatnot. It was responding a little bit, but we didn't catch that on EVP at all. But one thing that I thought was really interesting was that when the heaters would kick on, I would feel heat coming up the stairs and, hitting around my knees and stuff. But heat is supposed to rise. At the same time, often I would feel cold air coming down the stairs. So like I was kind of being hit with two streams of breeze, and that's not really how air works. And it did feel like somebody was kind of standing on the stairs watching me, and but that was, but then at the same time.
Yeah, two things that I had that were really interesting in the green room were, I believe it was in the green room, where I came in not feeling very well. I work at a hospital, so I catch a little bit of everything, so who knows. But there was, I believe that was in that same area where it just felt like when your mom comes around and like just pats you on the shoulder and, hey, you're gonna make it, that kind of warm fuzzy feeling. And that was about the only time I didn't feel sick in the whole evening. Otherwise, it was just like, well, this maybe not have been the choice to come sit in a dusty old theater at 30 degrees. The other thing is, and this comes up a lot in the shows, and the more what I call Farby, the ghost investigation show, the more they get excited about it, is when you walk over there, especially if you look at the stage, you'll see dust that looks like little balls of light floating by, these orbs. And the more fake a show is, they'll sit in there and they'll be like, the furnace will kick on, all the dust rises up, and they're like, it's an army of ghosts, So we disregard 99.99% of these just because there's no way. However, I was taking, when I take photos, I try to take a 360-degree view. And this is the first time I was telling Mike about this. And I don't know if it was dust, air currents, or whatever, but it was neat enough that I brought it up, is as I was taking the pictures, now we got digital cameras, you would see an orb. I'd move over, and that orb, I followed all the way around the room, and it went through the back wall into the prop maintenance area behind there. And of all my years, that was the first time that I'd ever seen one like that. So most of my experiences were that in the green room. I agree with Mike up there in the up in the quarters that the temperature variant up there was something. I mean, we were moving around pretty good because both of us, we'd come up there and we'd be sitting and totally comfortable, and like you said, 20 minutes you're up there like bunch of Eskimos just shivering. And so then you'd move to the other side of the room, and you're like, hey, this is warm, and then it get cold. I think we actually cut short one time by a couple minutes just because we were so cold we couldn't stand it.
Yeah.
So.
During the walkthrough, up in the living quarters, I smelt cigar, like heavily. It was like a sweeter, higher end cigar, not like an everyday smoker. And I had the guys, no, these two. I was with these guys. I had them smell the costumes and stuff because I was over where I had smelt it. I was over by the sewing table.
You get that as well?
No, I just know the costumes stink up there.
No, I had them smell around. They're like, it smells like perfume. It smells kind of like mothballs. This one smells like dust. No cigar smell, especially not
I've never seen.
heavy enough for like. It was a thick smell.
And if
Like,
any of you smelled cigar smoke, you know it sticks around for a long time. So.
yeah, but it smelled like it was being smoked. So when Mike and I had, part of our had the EVP session up there, we tried to sit there, and I was asking about it, and it seemed like every time I was asking about cigars or his family or, wife or daughter or whatever, the temperature would just go down by like 4 degrees and then go back up. Like it seemed like if we started talking about, what year is it, or just the random stuff, then it would start to warm back up, like it was losing interest. But then what's your favorite meal, then it gets super cold again. I don't know, I don't think we got really any response. It was mostly personal experience, but I thought that was pretty unique. I don't smell cigars very often on investigations.
Sean. Cobwebs.
Oh yeah. I wasn't gonna bring it up at first. I don't. Again, this is something you've seen on shows before too. But when they talk about like cobweb effect, like if you ever walk through a cobweb, you can just feel it on your hair. Well, I don't. This is my hair is actually longer now. Just to get an idea. And then I didn't have much hair when we were here. But everywhere we went, I'd sit down and you just feel like a cobweb's falling on you. And I'd check. There's nothing there. It was weird because just. There's nothing there, you think, well, what is it? A lot of people say it could be. I don't like being touched at all. Like you see shows, I don't like being touched. So right away, when I realized that, they, a lot of times they say, well, it could be, it's a spirit touching you. It happened all throughout the night. I mean, it happened in the living quarters, the green room, the stage. I don't know. Something was trying to get my attention, or just. Like my head, I don't know.
In the world I'm from, that's actually good luck.
Rub the bald guy's head.
No, they're called fairy strings.
You're our Buddha.
Yeah, they're called fairy strings, at least from the world that I learned stuff from, and it's good luck. You're getting good luck from the spirits.
It's like a thick web. It's not like when you walk through a web, you'll know. It just felt like a thick web, and you can actually feel it going down your head, down your neck.
Ring.
It's really amusing to watch them in the cameras all night long.
Well, I've never had it happen before. The first time I've had it happen was here, so I didn't really know what to expect. I just thought it was cobwebs.
Is it normal that, or typical, that you would smell cigars, but then nobody else at that time would have that same sensation?
Oh yeah, that's my whole life. And people don't hear or see or smell or most things that I do. I mean, but depending on their sensitivity level, they might sense something, or they do see what I see. Like everybody's different.
So sometimes you confirm what each other is experiencing, and other times it's very individual.
Yeah, that's
This
why
was
we
my
do it
first
there.
time working
One
with
of them
him
is-
though. Like, and he's more sensitive than these guys. So it was kind of interesting having a male be like, oh, it feels like I'm getting
we're
a
the
hug.
tough
I'm like,
guys.
oh, that's so cute. That happened to me at this other place.
And it's interesting to note, and I don't mean to rat her out, because I've got the same history way back in the day, but she's a smoker. So as a smoker, and because I did it for 20 years, you don't notice cigarette and cigar smoke very easily, because you're around it all the time, for one, and two, it burns out your nostrils. So, But that's what struck me with, that she would notice it, you know, and I didn't really remember smelling anything, because, like she said, the costumes up there are an aroma all of its own, so.
Yeah, and I'm not a smoker, neither is Sean, and I'm very sensitive to smoke and whatnot. I was up there for an hour. I didn't smell a thing. So.
Don't get me wrong, I like a good cigar, I didn't smell it. So.
Earlier, you mentioned about an older gentleman. Were you able to describe him at all, or?
Where, here, or?
The thin man.
Oh, that was her, that she saw him walking around.
Well, up in the living quarters, I didn't see anybody.
The only reason I ask is that her dad owned the theater for many, many, many years.
They moved here in '33
Really?
and had bought the theater.
Wish I would have known his name. I could have asked if that was the owner that I was talking about.
Next time.
Next time.
Yeah, no, up in the living quarters, I didn't see anything, but I sensed it, and you know, it kind of really felt like the person that was up there really didn't care about our equipment whatsoever. Like, he didn't care about our questions or anything, but when I would start asking about the family, you know, then I would start getting the electricity, you know, the tingles of, you know, like whoever was there wanted to respond, possibly didn't really know how to use these or how else to get the message across, except for, you know, manifesting a mild amount of energy, which is why it feels tingly or cold.
You know, it's funny that you said that, because one of the questions that Sean and I were asking, this is the serious question, was, you know, do you care if we're here? And nothing happened. I'm like, do you like us here? Nothing. Do you want us to leave? Nothing. Do you just not care? And it lit off.
Yeah,
So, I mean, when you said it, I got the impression that they just didn't care.
Yeah, no,
we got that too.
I think whoever's up there is just kind of just going about their business. They like it. They're comfortable. They're just, you know, they can tell we're there, but they're not really, they're not really like, they're not like, hey, get out of here. And they're also not like, hey, pay attention to me. Hello. You know, they're just there.
Like
You know, you know, I did get, there was the female presence. I kind of interrupted his closing thing, but because I felt somebody was like, ooh, what's that? And backing up, I did feel that was kind of a female, and so I jumped in a little bit and was like, you know, no, we're here to help if you want, you know, or help you move on if you want. I just like specified because he was saying, if you need any help, I just specified a little, and then they came back on the stage. The thing up in the gold thing, I have a feeling that might be that I don't. If it's a man, it's a very little man, like a small person. But I kind of felt like it was probably more of a child, or, you know, very, very early teens. And then the one that walks on the main level, that's definitely a grown man. Not an older man, but a grown man.
I think that's about it, though. Huh?
Yeah.
For what we experienced with
Pretty much, yeah.
And we were here till about 3 a.m. with our investigation. We had to leave. Otherwise, we probably would have been here till 5.
Yeah, I had to work at 6 a.m. So I was here we were here from 10 to 3. I had to work 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. that day.
Yeah.
And I just got off work before that, too, so I was up for a couple times.
Yeah, that's his dedication. He can work a 12-hour shift, come and do this investigation, and then go work another 12-hour shift.
Yeah. I can stay away. I work at a
He
hospital
slept on the
St.
drive
Paul's,
up.
St.
No, on the way back. He was
on
awake
the
and
drive
chatting
back.
the entire way up. Our conclusion that we came to, just by the evidence and whatnot, is that probably 80% of everything that's going on here is residual. But there is... What?
Meaning?
Oh, I think they know what residual means. But if you don't know what residual means, as Jason Hawes likes to put it from Ghost Hunters, it's pretty much a tape recorder. It's just playing itself over and over again. It doesn't know you're here. It's not going to react to you. It's not going to talk to you. It's just doing its thing. It's just energy left over from times past.
It's an impressed memory on the spot. It's
Yeah.
not really.
We
Not
got,
a spirit.
yeah, we got a lot of EVPs that have nothing to do with anything that's going on, especially the one in the lobby, which I'll let everybody hear. But there is some intelligence here. Absolutely there is. There was especially a lady on the stage at the end of the night that,
I think she was done.
yeah, she did not, she was pretty annoyed by the time the night was done. She had some strong words for me. So
She was annoyed?
she was annoyed, yeah. I think she was very happy that the investigation was done when it was. But the intelligence that's here, there's nothing negative. Nobody here that wants to come to see the theater or watch a play or anything has anything to fear here.
We felt very welcomed here, didn't feel anything, so.
Yeah, it was pretty quiet. I mean, minus the cold and whatnot.
Yeah, I can't get, it was really cold.
It was, yeah. But this is a beautiful place. I mean, everybody that lives close here, should feel welcome to come in here. We are setting up to come back, when it's warmer, so we don't have the furnaces on, and hopefully, take what we've learned from the first one and apply to the next one, and see what else we can find with the furnaces off.
It is a gorgeous theater.
Yes.
I can remember my dad and people that would come being so impressed with all the.
I don't know if I'm allowed to say this or not, but we were allowed to see what's going on in the theater, and it's unreal. It's gorgeous.
We're very blessed.
I think Wendy
Yeah.
approved it, she's back there.
Yeah, she's smiling. She's
Okay.
like, yeah, you can say that.
Yeah, because
no more.
okay, I won't say anything more. But whatever they are doing in the remodeling is, I wish we had something like that up in the cities. It is unreal how good of a job they are
For
doing.
such a little town, it's pretty impressive.
Shocking.
My
For-
family, dad's grandkids, great-grandkids, were here this last July, and she took us on a tour, and they were very impressed. They're from Florida. They couldn't get over a theater like this.
See, a town this small, and I'm
Plus,
from.
we all worked in it growing up.
Yeah, I'm from the cities.
I have a question.
Yes.
Going to actually their remodeling, like a lot of the stories and the shows that you see on TV is like, usually there's some activity, and then once you remodel, it's like, boom, there's all this activity. So, I mean, from what your investigation shows to maybe a future one, do you think there's gonna be a lot more things going on now that they're remodeling?
That's one reason.
See, that's why we came down here. She told us that they were going to be closed, for the remodeling. And I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, a theater that hasn't been investigated, that's remodeling? Score. So we set up a date, and that's why we had to get in here, because the next week after that, he was going on vacation. And I just wanted, this isn't all of the team. This is just the 4 that were here that night that were able to come today. But I think she thought that maybe it was hindering them a little bit because the scaffolding is all lead. It's all metal. We thought maybe it was dampening them a little bit. And from what I heard, am I able to talk about the painters? Okay. The painters that are coming here, I guess they're even here this morning, are hearing voices. They're hearing footsteps.
They heard it today, actually, I thought.
Yeah, and it was, today, this morning.
That's like no.
The same day we heard
They were gone by the time we got here. I wasn't able to talk to them. But they've been having some experiences, and I think that the general feeling is that the spirits are sick of, they want this project to end. Just like, so I'm kind of hoping that we can come back right as it's finishing.
Yeah,
When all the scaffolding is gone, the plastic's off the seats, everything, and just take it in, the glory that it is when it's done, and see what happens.
You might like talking to Reilly's because they paint old churches and all that sort of thing. I haven't thought about it, but they may have had some.
I'm sure they got a lot of experience.
Yeah, I was telling someone earlier, I was like, I hear so many stories from construction workers and
Yeah.
painters and siders like that.
And they're always in old churches. and things.
Well, or even old property. I had a friend this summer. They were working on just the siding of a house, and there was this little hut, down in the yard. They saw people in there, and when they went to look, there was nobody in there except for just some footmarks on the dirt floor. They were like, we're never going back there again. We were working there for hours, and there was people in that hut, and when we finally go, thinking it's the owners, to, say, hey, we're going to go now, there's, it just poofed, gone. He's like, we're not going back. We told them to hire someone else to finish it. I'm like, I was like, you'd be surprised how many people that do, they just, stories on end. Like, it's kind of fun. I kind of want to be a construction worker.
To answer your question, I was hoping so. I was hoping that they would just be active as anything. And we kind of got the opposite. But if what we caught was them on a down day, I can't wait. I can't wait to come back. And just see, because there's a woman here that needs, him or her and I need to have a conversation. But we're really looking forward to it. I hope so.
That's great.
I hope to put that to the test. So we're kind of done with our thing. Does anybody have any questions before we kind of just?
I've got one.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you see or feel anything in the aisle that goes to the west exit door
So that way.
upstairs?
Down
in front of the stage.
Toward the front.
We were actually, because of all the plastic and scaffolding and whatnot, we were told to avoid that area. So
I used to clean here, and every time I went into that corner, it was ice cold.
we
I never
did,
saw anything, I never heard anything, but it was always cold, and it gave me the creeps.
if,
Oh, yeah, I don't think we ever got a chance to do it.
we didn't really get near it, but Sean and I, when we were on the stage, if I'm thinking of the right area, there was a wind that just wouldn't,
Wind?
That wouldn't
like a
give up.
wind.
Yeah.
And it would come down, it sounded like come down from the ceiling, just swoop right above us, off and on, and it was cold. I don't know if I thought maybe
That's
there was a
the only
vent
side
there
there's a
that,
door.
is there a vent there, Wendy?
There are two in the ceiling,
Okay,
So that's probably what it is, not? Well, yeah.
and there's that door behind, the doors back of the stage, that goes up.
yeah,
Is that
yeah, but the area, if I think you're talking about is correct, we didn't really get over there, because of all the,
check it out.
I will put that on the list of places when we come back. Because I would love to, we're finding out that it's the places you least expect that have the most activity.
Yeah.
I not to break off from this investigation, but I had an investigation at a house, my first one as, Odyssey, and I just came in the front door and put a recorder on the foyer and left it alone. Nobody even knew it was there, except me. We got more EVPs out of that recorder than the entire house combined. And, and it was a nasty little bugger.
So, like voices or just
Voices,
really?
yeah. Intelligent ones, too. It was even talking about where I put my recorder downstairs.
Enough that you can understand.
Yeah, yeah. The three, and it was the same voice every time. I remember I brought one of them, but it said, first one said, someone call him an asshole. I brought that one with. I thought that would be kind of funny.
It wasn't us, so it could.
Yeah, they weren't there. They weren't part of the team yet. But next one said, somebody say something. And then the third one was, the recorder is down on the dresser. And that was exactly where I had placed it when I was doing my EVP session down there at that time. So whoever was there was listening to us and, again, did like me. So, and I was the only guy there. It was just me and another female investigator. So they were obviously talking about me. Any more?
So the fact that my daughter was actually called by name twice, just unusual.
Well, you guys might be more tied to whoever's upstairs than we are.
Well,
If he
I'm
cares
dad
about
worked
family
for my
and
dad,
cares about
too,
his town,
theater.
you know,
Yeah.
then he would be more directly connected to people that are from the town. I think, I have a feeling that if we do come again, now that, you know, I mean, they're not used to people noticing them. They're used to being ignored at this point. And I
Or
think
scared of.
I don't think any of them are scared of us right now.
No, them. The people of them.
Yeah,
Not them of
well,
us.
well, true. So then they're, you know, probably trying to be respectful of that and just, you know, be as quiet as possible. But I think, you know, they got a lot of attention from us, and like he said, one was very annoyed by that, and I think it was more that she wasn't used to it more than that she didn't like us, you know. But I think if we come in next time, they're going to be a little more comfortable with us being here and might, you know, actually, I mean, they're people, you know. I mean, what if we just like, whoop, appeared at your house and started following you with a recorder? You know, you're going to be like, what are you doing? Like, why? So, you know, they'll get used to it. I think next time we're going to have a lot more than, you know, what we got this time.
Yeah. And also, because she worked here, I'm sure they were familiar with her. Usually when that happens, they call out your name, but nothing else happens. Usually they're just trying to get your attention. They want to tell you something. Or, you know, nobody got injured. You know, she never got attacked. She never, you know, I think they're just trying to get her attention. You know, for whatever reason, I have no idea. But I'm sure it was nothing bad. You know, they could have just wanted to say, yeah, you know, have a good night.
It kind of
What are you
pertains,
doing here so late?
but I used to work at Sandy's Tavern in Richfield, and every now and then, you know, Sandy lived up in the attic, and this was so much so that none of us were allowed in the attic. None of us. But every now and then, if it was a slow night and I didn't start my cleanup exactly on time, I would hear from upstairs, "Hey, Ricky." And I'd open the door and just shut it real quick. And then the bartender would be like, "Sandy yelling at you again?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm going to pre-close now." Like, you know, so I mean, sometimes, you know, they're still doing their job. They're still living, you know.
Nobody has questions? Not even in the back? Anybody?
We had one in the back.
I mean, if you're afraid, I mean, not everybody likes talking in front of groups. I mean, you can still talk to us if you have questions after.
Yeah.
Too, so.
I'm sure some people are asking, do you guys need more volunteers to help your team?
Actually.
Yes. I've tried for the past couple weeks to find at least one female investigator, and now I need another guy too. I like, you know, symmetry. You know, I want a team of 8, 4 men, 4 females. You know, a lot of 4 full-time, 4 part-time. The problem that I've had, like with Mike, is drive. You know, if there's, I have a lot of friends down here in Iowa that I've investigated with and whatnot, and I mean, if I'm shorthanded on, you know, investigators and there's somebody down here that wants to go, especially if it's in Iowa, and I'm hoping to have a lot more, yeah, absolutely. But because of all the experiences that I have had with people's personal lives involving this, and I try to respect it as much as humanly possible, but when we have an obligation, I like to fulfill it. You know, I try to do it 2-3 weeks in advance. Everybody has time, but I've had it where they just forgot and booked something else and then decide to go do that instead. You know, that's not fair to our clients. You know, it's not fair to the rest of us.
I mean,
So-
the whole sign up for investigation, we take, you know, some are quick, some are not so quick. This depends on our schedule. I mean, we try to work with everything. I've taken PTO because, you know, I wanted to be there. And if that day worked out, I did it. You know, fortunate enough I can do that, but sometimes that's how it goes. I mean, we got to try to make it work.
Yeah, and so I've become very, very picky on who I let on the team. You know, are they really passionate about this? Do they really want to help? Do they want a thrill? You know, if all they're out is for a thrill ride, I have no time.
Well, and we are a team. This is everyday life for us. I mean, not just the investigations. That's once a month. And then we do, you know, reviews between ourselves, and then we do a reveal. But I mean, still every day he's going through evidence. He's trying, you know, these guys try to find new clients, I'm getting asked questions, or I'm having weird, like, oh, I have a weird feeling about this one thing, you know, like, I mean, we're constantly talking about it, so it's like, it's pretty tight, and
Yeah.
I think that's what we're really looking for, is somebody, you know, another person or two that are going to be that tight.
And, you know, and again, it's really hard to find someone that's willing to volunteer.
Yeah.
You know, this is a non-paid thing, you know, and I think that was, because when I leave that out of my posts, I get a lot of messages, but as soon as they find out they have no pay, I never hear from them again. You know, and I can understand it, and a lot of people want to give up a Saturday night, and then 2 weeks later another Saturday night, you know, for the reveal. And if I want them to do evidence review, you know, that's, if I give them a recorder, that's 5 hours, you know, because they have to listen to the whole investigation. That's another 5 hours they don't get paid for.
And honestly, it's well worth it either way.
Oh God, yes. It is so worth it. You know, I've been, like I said before, I've been doing this about 5 years now. I still get so excited when I hear, I text them all. I'm like, Class A on the balcony.
No, except me. He says, I found something interesting, but you don't get to know just yet.
That's personal joy. So, I mean, it is, anyone that's been able to do it, it's so worth it. You get to spend time in this building all by yourself. You know, it's dark, so you can't really see a lot, but it is so worth it.
So do you ever get hurt? Like, because I know it's always dark. Do you ever like trip and get hurt? Or?
No, I can see in the dark.
Yeah, your eyes adjust.
Right.
That's why we usually turn off the lights as soon as we can, just so we can adjust.
Yeah, once they adjust, it's pretty easy.
Oh.
And we do have flashlights.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just thought you're literally.
They're dimmer, I mean, because we don't want to keep them on the whole time. So, like, if I walk up the steps or somebody's behind me, I might just shine kind of behind me so they can see the steps.
Yeah. We get to where we're going safely, and then we pretty much just stand still or sit down. You know, we pick a spot, and that's where we are. If we have to move across the room quick, flashlight goes on. You know, safety first.
Yep.
You know, that's the key. Always keep yourself safe.
I've got another question for the young lady.
Yes, ma'am.
Have you ever been in a situation or tried where someone was found dead to contact that individual or individuals and find out if they can identify who killed them?
I haven't gone that far just yet. I mean, I'm pretty sure there was one situation where a girl, when I was living in Northfield, a girl had gone missing. And her and her friends were out by the river. They had been drinking. She slipped in the river. Her friends tried to pull her out. She slipped away. They couldn't find her because it was flooding. They couldn't find the body. They reported it. One of her best friends did actually come up to me. I was pregnant with my daughter at the time, so I was staying at home. I wasn't, you know, I kind of isolated from a lot of people except for family. My first kid, I was like, stay away. But he did, and I wasn't friends with this person. He was just, you know, a friend of mutual friends. He came up to me. He was like, tell me where she is. Just tell me. I was like, she's in this particular shaped tree by this particular shaped thing. I was like, I had a dream about it. Thank you for coming to me, because I didn't, you know, I don't know who this person is. Like, I don't know any of you. I didn't feel comfortable doing this. You know, thank you, you know, for letting me tell you. So in the search party in the next couple of days, he went to that exact spot, and that's where they found her. But I didn't want to. You guys are pretty much the first people I'm telling this to. I didn't ask to, you know, in that situation, I was like, keep that to yourself. You just had a feeling, you know, like.
Well, I'm asking in relation to a specific case. Cousins that were murdered in Evansville. They still have not found whoever did.
I have never tested my skills in that way to that extent. You know, I mean, I do have uncanny coincidences, you know, when I watch the news or whatever, but I haven't gone that route. I've kind of geared myself more towards the people the spirits. I have come across spirits that have been stuck in traumatic situations repeatedly over and over again, and I help them work through it and out of it. Yeah, I've never. This is the closest to a cop I've ever worked with.
Scary.
We've had plenty of conversations.
And why is it we are always afraid of this? Like you said, we fear it. If you've seen a spirit or something of this nature, would I be scared to death? I think I would be. And when you've seen one, why is it we're afraid of them?
We're raised with that.
Exactly. I think we've been conditioned into it. I think as small children, we're not scared until we're taught to be scared. Just like a spider. You're not scared of a spider until you see someone go, "Oh my God, a spider!" And then you're like, "Why?"
Or it lands on your face.
or it lands on your face and hurts you. So there's another thing. A child isn't going to be scared of a spirit unless it jumps on them and claws at their face. Now I'm scared. That's. But you know what I'm saying? It's you're not born scared of it. It happens, just like anything else.
Frightens you.
Yeah.
You see the movies or read the books, or
Yeah.
but that's
Until Casper came along, we didn't have a user-friendly ghost.
Right.
It always ended up with missing campers and,
Or you're told, oh, that's not real. That's not real. That's not real. So then you're little and you're like, well, what's going on?
So I've had lots of things where, you can go into a house, or I've lived in homes where it's definitely going to a room and it's cold. So that doesn't necessarily mean you have to be afraid of that spirit. It's just that there's one there. Or
Yeah.
And there might even be a natural explanation for why it's cold.
Right,
though.
and there's,
Yeah.
that's...
the first step we all try to do, like he said, is
Well, I'm not saying that's it.
Oh.
I'm just saying that there could
yeah,
be.
I do understand that, but
Well, like somebody like me, I would want more than that, so I'll make sure it's not something else that's
it
causing
was the
it.
same house where I heard footsteps,
Yeah.
all kinds of things.
Well, things are creepy because they're just, it's not expected.
Right.
But I mean, unless you're literally getting pushed down the stairs or you're looking in the mirror and suddenly it's not evil, I mean, there's,
Halloween.
it's different,
Kids
but
grow up with, and a lot of that is scary. The ghosts and the goblins.
I would like to interject something. Everybody's aware of, the phrase, we are always scared of what we don't understand.
Yeah.
This is a field that has no experts.
Yeah.
I don't care what the shows say or what any of the investigators. None of us here are experts. None of them on TV are experts. We're so much that we don't understand about this that it's crazy. We're trying to. A lot of us are, but we're so far off, and it's almost like an invasion of privacy. There's somebody you are sure that there is no one in this house, and then you hear footsteps walk up the stairs. It's the same as a burglar, only you can't see this one. It's just, I think we take normal fears and apply it to something we can't see, and I think that scares the crap out of a lot of us.
Yeah.
And I think that's why a lot of teams are very successful. And as soon as you have those answers, which is what us and a lot of other teams are trying to get, you don't fear it anymore. When you have a team come in and they bring you evidence, and this has actually happened to former investigators of mine. We did their house, and they were scared because they were getting touched. Their girls they would freak themselves out. They were all of them were scared. We went in there. They left for the weekend. We brought them way more evidence than they thought that we were going to, but they were fine. We're like, you know what? There's really nothing here. We talked to them. We said, you're never allowed to do this again. They agreed. It hasn't happened since, and nobody has had a problem. As long as you have the answers, like if I were to give you, the clip of the stairs, and that's exactly what you hear, you're probably not going to be scared of it anymore.
Well, and I feel too that they're trying to reach out to us, but they have to
We don't know how to
associate.
reach back.
them.
Well, and they have to associate with what we're understanding at that moment. So if we're feeling fear at that moment, then they're feeling that fear as well, and that's how you're meeting in the middle. But if you can, get yourself to, if you hear a cupboard slam, be like, hey, what you doing, cooking? Like, rather than being like, oh my God, what's that? Like you're changing the environment, and you're changing your air and their air, and you might end up one day having a wonderful dream about, your aunt that had passed on, a while ago, or, and then you'll never hear those noises again, or, it's and that's what we do while we're here too. I mean, we get excited, but we're not scared at all.
Are some people more susceptible to some of this than others?
Yes.
Oh, of course. Everybody's
Yeah,
got
that's what I was-
everybody's got their different levels. I think everybody can, in one way. He says nothing. He says, "Oh, I'm not sensitive at all," but he'll do exactly something one of us is thinking all the time. Like it just happens all the time. I think everybody has their own.
And with that, and I've long believed this, and it's a decent way of explaining it. I think we're all born being sensitive, but it's our life experiences that train us out of it. If you think about it, as kids, we grow out of our imaginary friends. Then we have our kids, and we're telling them, we've got the Easter Bunny, we got this fat guy that's going to break in your house, play with your socks, and he's going to give you stuff. And we go through all of these, and then as you age, we're just joking. And for those of us that are a little bit more sensitive to this, you see trends where the parents are less hands-on. We didn't have all of that. We were kind of allowed to do our own thing. So that didn't get trained out of us as much. I've got friends of mine that are fairly sensitive, that their parents were very hands-off. And then I've seen friends of mine that were, I swear their family had, they had parents. And you could take them into the most active area and they could just sit there and go, well, that's nice. And then to build on what Mike said too here, this is, all of that equipment you see over here, this is a science, and my passion lies both in two areas. It's the history of areas, and two, the science of how this all works. All of that equipment is probably the last 30 years of people trying to break this down scientifically, and with varying results. Hey, this works, so we build on that. If you start looking into it, there's a million theories. Everybody's all over the board on how any of this works. There are some common, what would you call them?
Common ground?
Common ground, thank you, that leads to different pieces of equipment. If you talk to Mike, he's on the forefront of anything that sounds like it may or may not work. Of all the people I've dealt with, he's got more toys, as we call them, than anybody I've seen before. But a lot of them will work on the same principles. Like we talk a lot about EMF, the electromagnetic fields. And a lot of them, digital recorders, and a lot of these things, that's why they'll go off. Like they said here, is when they were playing around with the faulty wiring or whatever in the walls, is a lot of these, the older the wiring, and of course old houses are spookier than condos, the wiring isn't so shielded that it's one of the things that we try to rule out. So
It's about demystifying it, basically. I mean, not to say that none of the spiritual side exists, but to use the technology to, one, find out what is just, structural and physical, but then also what is, offbeat or, unexplainable. There's a recording or a picture or something, and it demystifies it. It's not just an imagination. It's there. It's real. It's normal and natural, and it's everywhere.
You asked a very good question.
Yeah.
I hope you were satisfied with our answer.
Yeah, and part of the answer that I take most is the fact that we ourselves have to learn to desensitize ourselves and to believe what we hear and see and find out why we're seeing or hearing what we are.
Sure.
Not be afraid of it.
Yep.
Thank you for saying that.
Oh, absolutely. Any other questions? Anything? No? Everyone's good?
They're like that 10-minute conversation just explained the entire reality.
Nope, I had one, but you answered that 20 minutes ago. All right, well then, I guess we can do what we need to do. Who wants to listen to evidence first? One, two, well, the first four over there get to do it.
Is that the session?
No, we're gonna.
No, that's the EVPs that we caught here.
I need to use the restroom first.
Sure, go ahead. Well, yeah, but I can do it. I don't have to take one. And then who wants to do a small SB11 session for the green room? Okay.